Ever wonder where the word algorithm comes from? You know, that magic word behind every app on your phone, every Google search, and even the recommendations on this very platform. The answer takes us back over 1,000 years to a bustling city that was the center of the world's knowledge. Today, we're going to talk about a man whose name you might not know, but whose ideas you use every single day. This is the story of Al-Khwarizmi, the man who gave the world algorithms. Let's travel back to the 9th century. The place is Baghdad, the vibrant capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. At the heart of this city was an institution unlike any other. The House of Wisdom. It wasn't just a library. It was a beacon for the brightest minds from across the known world. Scholars gathered here to translate, study, and expand upon the greatest scientific and philosophical works from Greece, India, and Persia. And among these intellectual giants was a Persian mathematician named Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Al-Khwarizmi wasn't just another scholar scribbling away in a dusty library. He was a revolutionary thinker. His mission: to make mathematics practical, accessible, and powerful for everyone. He saw how numbers could solve real-world problems, from dividing inheritances and surveying land to calculating trade deals. He believed math shouldn't be a purely abstract game for philosophers. It should be a tool for life. And to achieve this, he wrote a book that would change the course of history. That book was called the Compendious Book on Calculation by Completion and Balancing, or in Arabic, Kitab al-Jabra wal-Muqabala. Does that word algebra sound familiar? It should. It's the origin of our modern word algebra. Before Al-Khwarizmi, solving equations was a messy, disorganized process. There were no set rules, no systematic methods. He changed all that to algebra, which means restoring or completion, referred to his method of moving a negative term from one side of an equation to the other, making it positive. Al-Muqabala, meaning balancing, was the process of cancelling out like terms on both sides of the equation. For the first time ever, this book laid out a systematic way to solve linear and quadratic equations. It wasn't just a collection of problems. It was a complete system. He introduced the idea of reducing any problem to one of a few standard forms and then applying a clear step-by-step procedure to find the solution. Think about that for a second. A step-by-step procedure to solve a problem. Sound familiar? That's because Al-Khwarizmi had just invented the core concept of an algorithm. In fact, the very word algorithm is a direct Latinization of his name, Al-Khwarizmi. When his works were translated into Latin centuries later, European scholars referred to his methods as algorithmy, which eventually evolved into the word we use today. So every time you hear about a social media algorithm, a search algorithm, or a machine learning algorithm, you are, in a way, paying homage to this 9th century Persian mathematician. He is the grandfather of the algorithmic thinking that powers our digital world. But his contributions didn't stop there. Al-Khwarizmi also wrote a hugely influential book on the Hindu numeral system. At the time, many parts of the world were still using clunky systems like Roman numerals. Try multiplying CXC by 47. It's a nightmare, right? Al-Khwarizmi's book introduced the Indian system of numerals from 1 to 9, and most importantly, the concept of zero as a placeholder. This system, which we now call the Hindu-Arabic numeral system, made calculation exponentially easier and more efficient. It was a complete game changer, paving the way for far more complex mathematics to develop. His work was so fundamental that it literally taught Europe how to calculate. So, how did these revolutionary ideas from Baghdad spread across the globe? Through translation. In the 12th century, scholars in Europe, hungry for new knowledge after the Dark Ages, began translating Arabic texts into Latin. Al-Khwarizmi's works on algebra and arithmetic were among the most prized translations. A scholar named Robert of Chester translated algebra into Latin around 1145, and another named Adelard of Bath translated his work on arithmetic. For the next several hundred years, these translations became the standard mathematics textbooks in European universities. Imagine, students at Oxford and Paris in the 15th century were learning math directly from the methods developed by Al-Khwarizmi in 9th century Baghdad. His influence was so profound that it laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution. Figures like Fibonacci, Leonardo da Vinci, and later Descartes, Fermat, and Newton all stood on the shoulders of Al-Khwarizmi. The systematic, logical approach to problem solving that he pioneered became the very language of science. Without the clear universal language of algebra, the complex laws of physics and engineering could never have been formulated. He provided the essential toolkit that made modern science possible. Now, let's fast forward to today. Why does a mathematician who lived over 1200 years ago still matters so much? Because the principles he established are more relevant now than ever before. Think about computer programming. At its core, coding is simply writing a series of logical, step-by-step instructions for a computer to follow. That is, by definition, an algorithm. Every single piece of software, from the operating system on your laptop to the game you play on your console, is built on a foundation of algorithms that can be traced directly back to the methodical thinking of Al-Khwarizmi. What about artificial intelligence and machine learning? These fields are all about creating algorithms that can learn from data, recognize patterns, and make predictions. The very idea of breaking down a complex task like image recognition or natural language processing into a sequence of mathematical operations is a direct descendant of Al-Khwarizmi's Al-Jabr and Al-Muqabala. He taught us how to formalize, and we've been building on that lesson ever since. Even the security that protects your online life relies on his legacy. Modern encryption, which keeps your passwords and credit card information safe, is based on complex mathematical algorithms. These algorithms manipulate numbers in incredibly sophisticated ways. But the fundamental principles of logical, procedural steps remain the same, from data science and financial modeling to logistics and route planning like Google Maps. The fingerprints of Al-Khwarizmi are everywhere. He provided the fundamental framework for a world he could never have imagined. Al-Khwarizmi's story is a powerful reminder that knowledge knows no borders and has no expiration date. An idea born in the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, inspired by learning from India and Greece, can travel through time and space to power the technology in your pocket. He was more than just a mathematician. He was a bridge between civilizations and a visionary who gave us a universal language for solving problems. He took the abstract world of numbers and turned it into a practical tool that has shaped our world in countless ways. So, the next time you ask your phone for directions or see a recommended video pop up in your feed, take a moment to remember the man whose name is literally embedded in the process. Al-Khwarizmi, the quiet genius from Baghdad who, step by step, taught the world how to think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back in time and want to uncover more hidden histories of science and technology, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you in the next one.